What's up everyone, my name is Kim and this is my channel Bookmarks and Breadsticks, a channel that focuses on everything food writing. Remember, food books are not cookbooks. Food books are anything from food memoirs to food history, along with food, world, and travel. I'm here today to talk about two books together, both focusing on memoirs, but specifically memoirs in the wine space, told from the point of view of women. So first thing is a little bit of definitions. What is a sommelier? A sommelier is the front of the house attendant who really helps set wine. If they are in a privilege of power, they can move up to be the beverage director. And the beverage director helps order all of the wine, spirits, cocktails, and even non-alcoholic drinks for restaurants. In major Michelin star restaurants, these sommeliers can actually make or break an experience, especially when it comes to those critics and those reviews. So I have two different books here today. I have Cork Dork by Brianna Bosker, hopefully I didn't say that wrong, and Wine Girl by Victoria James. Victoria James's book just came out this year, and Brianna's book came out about 2 years ago, I think. Forgive me, I should have known that off the top from my notes, and I didn't write it down. So Cork Dork came out, in 2017, so still very much a contemporary, and I highly recommend both of them. Both of these books are 5 stars for me not for different reasons, but because they are both a delight. They were just awesome to read and listen to. So Cork Dork I actually listened to as an audiobook. Wine Girl I did buy as a hard copy, but I also buy hard copies of every audiobook I read and listen to unless it's complete garbage, which has not happened to me yet. Okay. So first book is Cork Dork. Professional journalist and amateur drinker Brianna Bosker didn't think much about wine until she discovered an alternate universe where taste reigns supreme, a world of elite sommeliers who dedicate their lives to the pursuit of flavor. So Brianna's job when she worked in journalism, she worked in the digital space. So she literally was curating content and listicles, for example, about food, about beverages, but she didn't really have to drink or know anything about wine. And then suddenly she watched some sommeliers, or what she calls cork dorks. Cork dorks are people who are obsessed with wine, and she watched them do a wine tasting. And that's the moment where, you see the guy who sniffs the wine, he whooshes, really technical. They swirl the wine and can look at it, and they can tell you the vineyard, the year, the weather conditions, how many bottles were made. And to Brianna, this was mind-blowing. This was such a different way of looking at the world, and also she had really underutilized one of these senses. You have all your senses, taste, etc. Her taste buds sucked, according to her. And this book is really about her being a complete amateur and diving headfirst into it and trying to see what she can learn, and culminates with a sommelier kind of official test, where you have to do theology, a blind tasting, and table service. So it's a really prestigious test, and sommeliers are predominantly men. It's really a male-dominated field. So part of the book also goes through her journey of staging, which is basically working for free. It's like interning for chefs, but internships should be illegal or they should be paid. It's another conversation. So it's nice to see her wide-eyed, bushy-tailed, bright-eyed exploration into this space and how she falls in love with it, but also learns some of the darker sides of it. The other book, Wine Girl by Victoria James, she is the youngest sommelier. What does it say on the front? The obstacles, humiliations, and triumphs of the world's youngest sommelier. So this is deeply personal, and it's inspiring, incomprehensible, and educational. Anthony Bourdain really praised this book praised Victoria James prior to his passing a couple of years ago. I think and actually I just realized on the back of it, Bianca wrote a little blurb on the back of it. Wine Girl is funny, bracing, disturbing, and above all necessary. Victoria reveals the best and darkest in who we are and how we dine. I couldn't put it down. This book, Bianca's book is, I'm new, let me explore this world, here are fun facts, my journeys, my failures, because she had quite a few. Wine Girl is all about Victoria, and we go through all the different stages of her life, and This book can be heavy. She comes from a not great family. Some of the most disturbing things I remember is that her father really believed in them completing their tasks and getting perfect grades. And there's a scene where her little brother, like so little he's in a onesie kind of little kid, like a dinosaur onesie, is told he has to do the dishes and he can't leave until he's done washing the dishes. And because his father is such a jackass and won't let him move, the kid pees his pants right there, and they are helpless to do anything. And that really poor relationship continues on, and because of that poor relationship, Victoria flees the home and eventually gets a job, and it's like in one of those greasy spoon diners that she falls in love with Service. And from there you see how Service becomes making drinks to survive, not knowing what you're doing, to the first bar she works at, the first sommelier test she takes, and etc. And her father actually ends up becoming an alcoholic about when she's 18 or 19. It's just kind of crazy how your life circumstances motivate you and drive you to do different things in your life. And she is a victim of sexual assault in the book, and that's one thing that really behind the scenes of what goes on in the culinary world, women are still treated very poorly. There's a lot that goes unsaid. There's no asking for help. You think back to the Me Too movement with chefs that happened about 1 or 2 years ago, how it was pretty much the demise of Mario Batali. This book kind of touches on that a little bit. I mean, but fuck Mario Batali, because sexual assault is wrong and he's a scumbag. So at just 21, the age when most people just start drinking, well, legally, Victoria James became the country's youngest sommelier at a Michelin-starred restaurant. Even as Victoria was selling bottles worth hundreds and thousands of dollars during the day, passing sommelier certification exams with flying colors, and receiving distinctions from all kinds of press, to many, she was simply wine girl. There were groping patrons, bosses who abused their roles and statuses, and a trip to the hospital emergency room. It would take hitting bottom at a new restaurant and restorative trips to the vineyards where she could feel the closest to the wine she loved, for Victoria to reemerge clear-eyed and passionate and a proud leader of a Michelin-starred restaurant. Exhilarating and inspiring, Wine Girl is a memoir of a young woman breaking free from the traumatic childhood and abuse on her own terms, an ethnography of a glittering, high-octane but notoriously corrosive restaurant industry, and above all, a love letter to the life-changing effects of good wine and good hospitality. So both books are 5 out of 5s. I definitely think I preferred Wine Girl more, and I think they're just different books. They both talk about wine, they're both females, they're both sommeliers, but Bianca is bright-eyed, going into it raw, and Wine Girl is really about Victoria's own personal journey, and I'm so glad she came out and got past her demons, and I'm so glad she told this story. I think it's important to tell the stories of successful women who have endured and struggled, because I think it's really easy for social media and the press and the web to hype someone up that you forget, or you don't really get to know where they came from, and this is raw and powerful. This is fun and delightful, and you'll learn a lot. I love both of them. They're 2 great examples of wine books. So this is my quick review of 2 wine memoirs, both from the point of view of women. Do either of them interest you? I do think you can actually listen to Victoria James's audiobook on Audible, and she narrates it herself, which is amazing. So does Bianca. I recommend either the hard copies or listening to them, especially if the author is the one narrating. So that's it, BookTube. This is my review of 2 food memoirs, both in the wine space from the point of view of female sommeliers. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe. I will see you in the next video. Bye!